So, good afternoon, everybody. I speak louder, don't worry. Glaze is more like, but I speak louder. I don't need a mic. Do I need a microphone? Can you hear me back there? Okay. So, first of all, thank you very much for taking your time to come here. I hope this is useful to you. We have around an hour and 10 minutes. We're going to try to keep into that time. There's a lot of discussion in this workshop, okay? I do expect you guys to participate, okay? Because it doesn't make any sense for you to listen to me for an hour and a half if you don't think about what you are listening about. So start looking around if you're alone, because you're going to have to find a partner, okay? So start looking around if you like the person next to you, or you can talk to yourself or to Julio or to the person back there. Yes, there are some places here, guys. You can sit down. Don't worry about it. This is not ideal for discussion, but, okay, I would love to have a room where everybody's like sitting facing everybody else. But one of the things, why did I'm here by invitation of National Geographic, which is Cengage, National Geographic Learning. It's all the same. So thank you very much, guys, for inviting me. And we are going to talk about teaching English to children. Maybe some things that you see here, maybe you've seen it. You said, oh, that's obvious. But think about it. When it's obvious, rethink about it. Okay, it's always good to say, okay, I already do that, but okay, am I doing the right thing? So bear with me if you see something you've seen before. So take this time to interact. There are 3 parts to our workshop today. We're going to talk about the learning process, and the learning process is going to be most of our time in this workshop. The learner and the teacher, we're going to talk a little bit less at the end. But most of the time today, we are going to discuss the learning process. The learning process of what? Of language. Sometimes the first one, sometimes the second one, okay? This is a potpourri of stuff, you know? Sometimes you're going to see, I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to give tips on this, and etc. But it's all about how children learn English, and sometimes their first language. Does everybody here teach English to children? Everybody, raise your hands. Let me see hands. Who doesn't teach children? Okay, you're just here because, oh, yeah, okay, let's learn something new. So, it's interesting. But have you ever taught children? Yes. Children, no. Okay, so there might be some new things. Okay. Yeah. So, not everybody teach, but that's okay. We're going to start, and this is where it comes a little bit, you need to pay attention, because I didn't bring a handout, but we can do this without the handout. You have a piece of paper, right? Mm-hmm. So in this piece of paper, you're going to write A, B, C, D, E, J in a column, just like here. And in front of it, you're going to put a number, so don't worry about it. Okay? No, you don't need to give this to me at all. This is going to be for you, okay? But you need to write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, J in a column. And in front of it, you're going to put a number. I'm going to tell you what to do in a minute. Okay? It's in alphabetical order, and it's all the letters of the alphabet, guys. Nothing missing, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Now, don't worry about reading. We are going to discuss this, okay? How? So we have 10 sentences, and they are myths and facts and research and things we think about when we learn a language. So for each one, you are going to put a number. If you strongly disagree with that sentence, it's number 1. If you strongly agree 100%, it's number 5. And then you can choose the middle. Oh, you know, I agree, but not so much. Number 4. I don't know. Number 3. Well, I have my issues with it. Number 2. Oh, hell no. Number 1. Okay? So again, for each sentence, you are going to put a number. 1, no. 5, 100%. You agree. Okay? You are going to do this individually. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do it. You're going to read, see if you agree or disagree. and then you're going to discuss with your partners. Is that clear? So I'm going to read the sentences for you so we can go through them, okay, very quickly. So there's no right or wrong, okay? No right or wrong. So people with high IQ are good language learners. The most important factor in language acquisition success is motivation. The earlier a second language is introduced, the greater the likelihood of success in learning. Most of the mistakes made by L2 learners are due to interference from their L1. Teachers should present grammatical rules one at a time, and learners should practice it before going on to another. Teachers should teach simple language structures before more complex ones. Errors should be corrected as soon as they are made in order to prevent the formation of bad habits. Teachers should only expose students to language they already know. Errors should be corrected as soon as they are made. Oh, I'm sorry, it's repeated, okay? Letter I, so skip that one. Teachers should only expose the students to language they already know. Oh, the two last are repeated, but that's okay. We have two more that they're not supposed to be here. I adapted this morning, so we didn't need the handout. Sorry about that. So forget about I and J for now. Just do until H, okay? Not 5 minutes, it's too long. 2 minutes for you to do it alone, and then we start. Let's open up. We are going to discuss all of those now as a whole group, okay? Here's the thing. Everybody has something to say, and I want everybody to participate, but we have time constraint. As I told you, there's no right or wrong answer. I will finish, and I will tell you what research says. It's not what I think. It's not what people think. It's not what school X does. It's what research says about each one of those. If this is like more right or wrong, and we should disagree or not, okay? And you can disagree because research, you know, research is research. Somebody else in the future will come and say, no, that's not true, and I can prove it. So, but so far, I read, I'll tell you the reference is a book called How Languages Are Learned by Oxford University Press, but you know, okay, it's another publisher. So, but it's a book about language acquisition. So I'm going to tell you what the book told me in terms of research. So it's hard evidence, okay? So let's start. No, my opinion doesn't matter that much. Because I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to give you, I want to help you make informed decisions. So I'm going to give you information for you to think about and apply this to your teaching practice. What I do is different from what he does. That is different, and it all works, right? But that's the point of the discussion. So the first one is people with high IQ. Everybody knows what IQ is, right? Okay, are good language learners. What do you think?
Disagree.
Why do you disagree?
Because I was talking to her, I think there's a lot of different kinds of intelligence. It's not just because you have a high IQ, it's you're good in everything. You have a lot of people in history, and it's a fact that has a high IQ, but it's not so good in everything. It's not because you have a high IQ, you're going to see a piano and you're going to start to play.
Darn it.
So
Would have been good, right?
It would have been excellent, but I don't think it's like this, so I disagree with this.
Well, does anybody else, do you agree with her? Yes? You expect me to tell you what the research says, right? But I want you to really participate. What does IQ measure? IQ is coeficiente de inteligência, intelligent coefficient. What does it measure? Math, logical, physics, logical thinking, right? And language is logical? No. Those are two different parts of the brain. So they are likely to succeed because they can see the logic. Probably people with high IQ will see grammar very easily, will apply rules, but will have problems with skills that are interacting and other things that, especially socially, because language is social. We need language to communicate, to interact. So it's something else. You can be very good at math, but if you don't know how to interact, it doesn't, you know. And the other is around. It doesn't mean that a person with high IQ will be or will not be, but this is not a factor that interferes. It's likely because it means that it's an intelligent person, right? Okay? Very good. So my father used to say that he has always been very, he studied hard, straight A kind of student. But when he went to work, he said, I never hire the top of the class. He's an engineer. Because those people are very good at math, but I need people with social skills. That we're talking about 30 years ago. He said, we need to look not only the top of the class, but the other people who also are likely to succeed. How about number 2? The most important factor in language acquisition success is motivation.
I agree.
Everybody strongly agree? Why?
Because that's when you're going to look for ways to expose yourself to the language, and look for ways to understand it. Your effort will be.
Effort is a good word.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No? But is a motivated student a successful student?
No.
You know the guy that really goes to class, does all the homework, but doesn't learn the language? Yeah. So, again, motivation is essential because it's very hard to learn something if you don't have any kind of motivation. And sometimes we think about motivation as something good in terms of, think about a text with teenagers. We're talking about children, but let's see, children are easier in this case, but let's think about teenagers. I don't want to read that. Why? Because I don't like it. Okay, read it and tell me why you don't like it. You can hate it. You can explain why you hate it. That's motivation. It's not necessarily a good reason. But the thing is that a motivated student is not necessarily a good or successful student. But very likely for a non-motivated person to learn. No, I'm going to go there. Yeah, I have a high IQ. I will learn, but I don't want to go. That's very unlikely to happen, right? If we don't find ourselves motivated to do whatever. So it's not the most important. It's an important factor. But the key thing about this sentence is it's not the most important. There are several factors. Can you think of other factors that influence language learning? Need is a type of motivation. But because we tend to separate those, and that would be a whole other workshop. Okay, if you want to learn about a motivation, there's this guy, and I cannot pronounce his name, but let me know. I want to know about motivation. I'll tell you a couple of books that he's written about that. It's very complicated. It's not just, hey, here's some money, I'm going to do it. Yeah, no. It's very complicated. But need is a type of motivation. What else? What other factors? He said need. Okay, the fact that you like it. How many of you are here because you like English? How many of you are teachers because you just like the language? Right? You don't need to raise your hand, but I see some people. That's how I started. Okay? And it's a very common profile of the Brazilian English teacher. We are here because we travel, we like the language, we become teachers. We start sometimes informally, but then we become teachers, and that's okay. So liking, yeah, okay. Try and learn something you don't like. Oh, you won't learn, right? How about next one? Ooh, this is what I'm studying right now. I'm doing postgrad in bilingual education. And I'm going to spend 2 years trying to answer this, okay? Try to answer. It's 2 years, like you ask me questions, I ask me in 2 years, and I'll try to have an answer. The earlier a second language is introduced, the greater the likelihood of success in learning.
I strongly agree.
You strongly agree?
Yes.
Would you like to tell us why?
The more younger you are, the better you learn a language.
Do you all agree with her? No?
I agree because another reason. The children mind is
More clean.
clean. It's very easy to put and mold
Mm-hmm.
something in there.
There's a cognitive and physical factor in children. They're developing their brains. It's different, you know. Saying that we will learn a second language when we are adults, the same way you learn our first language, there are similarities, but it's not the same process because adults are different from children. We're still processing. But you said you said like this. Would you like to say why?
For the same reason, I think that there are some reasons that should be analyzed. For example, the parents ask the children, the child, in a school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 5, 7 years, but it's not the time for that child.
Okay.
Maybe it will not be the same as a teenager that he or she decided it's not good like to learn.
Okay.
There's some points to
No, you have a very good point. Bilingual education studies a lot of that, or the right time and the environment, the context in which the language is learning. But for this sentence, this is, I think, the most common myth. It's not exactly a myth, but people think, no, if you learn when you are a child, you are bilingual. Are you guys bilingual? Of course you are. Everybody, because we think about the term bilingual. Oh, yeah, I read like 1,000 pages on this week, okay, because I have classes tomorrow. but bilingual is me. It's able to speak in 2 languages. But we connect bilingual with learning when we were children. It's very common. But, we speak 2 languages. We're bilingual, okay? But the thing about starting early is this. They will have success, and there's some research showing that there is that they learn more vocabulary, and they pronounce the words better. Pronunciation is the area that has the most receives the most benefits in terms. But children, they learn very fast, but they forget faster. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be successful just because they're starting early. And parents, they come to the school, they put in a bilingual school, and after a month, my child is not speaking. Okay, no, it's not magic. It's a school, okay? So the same thing with language schools, like twice a week and etc. They expect, no, but he's young. He's 3. He should be speaking, okay? So the thing is, the earlier you start, there are benefits in terms of vocabulary acquisition and pronunciation. But guys, language is much more than this too. You need to learn a lot more around this, okay? Most of the mistakes made by L2 learners are due to interference from the L1. So, in other words, it's like this. So I make a mistake, importante. Okay, is this a mistake? If I pronounce no, this is very important.
I think it happens with the adults because I know a child. I knew when he was 4, he spoke French because of his mother and English because of his father. The Portuguese was very little. Mm-hmm. He can't communicate in Portuguese. But he could separate. He doesn't mix when he was speaking a language and another. And he didn't speak wrong one because of another one.
Yeah, it is.
Even Portuguese. Mm-hmm.
Very good.
He didn't know. It doesn't mean that cross root or cross.
When a child speaks like this, I heard this week. I was watching a class. I was observing a class. We can't expect. It was a child, and he said, "We can't expect o pessoal para vir, né?"
This is cross.
No, there's a name for that. It's called translanguage.
Translanguage. That's
yeah.
what I mean. But he didn't commit this kind of error.
But that's not a mistake. That's not the point of today, but it's not. This is using the language. You are fulfilling your communication needs with the language or with the parts that you know. In the past, we used to think that those were interference, but now we know that both languages, they help each other. Okay? Your L1 helps your L2, and there's no interference. 5 years ago, if you had asked me, like, can you teach how to read and write in 2 languages at the same time, English and Portuguese, I would say no. Now, I'm not so sure. It is possible. But that's not the point of today. The thing is that the mistakes are mistakes made. Yes, L1 has an interference, okay, on pronunciation, or, they were making that. That was the last time I was observing. It was a math class, and they were measuring the tape, the board. And the boy said, "Teacher, it has 3 meters." Okay, which is Portuguese. Tem 3 metros. But no, it's 3 meters wide, long, tall. I can remember what he was. So that is interference of L1. Okay, but it's not most of the mistakes. Some mistakes are just mistakes children make. Okay, is that clear? You're very quiet. I was expecting more participation, but that's okay. The third one. Teachers, this is very EFL, okay? Teachers should present grammatical rules at one at a time, and learners should practice it before